if things go the way Notre Dame wants them to go, we may be back here in about a month. And, Jack, if they play – I'm going to say this. If they play like they did tonight in the next two, we probably will be back here because I think 11-1 is going to get Notre Dame in the college football playoff. We'll talk about that at the end of this video. We're going to lead it off with Notre Dame 35, Virginia 14. Weird game. It wasn't like all the others in Notre Dame's current 8-game winning streak where – they really blow the opponent out, and you see Steve Angeli for multiple possessions. You only saw him for a kneel down tonight, but a kneel down is all you needed to send these seniors out with a victory here in South Bend tonight. And, Jack, I say it was weird because you had 2 touchdowns called back. Both were 70-plus yards. Both were in a span of 3 plays. But then you get an interception, and then you score a couple plays after that anyway. Notre Dame, through all of the oddities and absurdities of this game, still asserted its will, and that started with the defensive side of the ball because Virginia, for long stretches of this game, was not able to do anything against this Notre Dame defense. That has been the norm. That was not weird. That was, status quo.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. The defense has been the constant throughout all the weirdness and just nonsense and tomfoolery of this Notre Dame football season. But, that defense put Anthony Calandria, the Virginia quarterback, in a blender. It was – I felt bad. I felt bad for the kid at a certain point because, he didn't know what he was seeing out there. He basically gift-wrapped Notre Dame interceptions a couple of times. Don Schuler kind of baited him into one. Xavier Watts had one. Leonard Moore had one on a deflection. All within the last 2 minutes and 34 seconds of the first half. It was a massacre out there when Virginia had the ball. Jack Kaiser had an incredible sack in which he got legally cut blocked by the running back, and somehow got up and was all over the backup Tony Muskett. Al Golden continues to put on the perfect game plans to make the necessary adjustments. It was only 14 because Virginia scored with, 15 seconds? 18 seconds. 18 seconds left. And you know what? Al Golden, I saw him walking off the field. He was the first one into the locker room after the alma mater. He looked pissed. He looked upset, and I feel bad for Army if that's the case because Al Golden's going to get his guys ready to play like they are every week.
Yeah, maybe he saw, because Notre Dame Stadium does a good job of displaying total yards around the stadium. Maybe he saw that Virginia got up to 300 with that last touchdown. He said, nope, we keep people under 300 around here at Notre Dame. It's a lot of Al Golden, but you mentioned Jack Kaiser. You mentioned Don Schuler. It's a lot of personnel too, man. This is a crazy good Notre Dame defense at all 3 levels. We've known that all season, but it was on display here again tonight. I think Donovan Heinisch got another sack after he had 2 sacks last week against Florida State. Don Schuler with the interception. Xavier Watts with his 4th interception of the season, 11th of his career. Fell on a fumble as well, forced by Rod Hurd. There's another personnel shout-out for you right there. Leonard Moore, the freshman, gets his 2nd career interception, gets banged up on that play, comes back in. It's just top to bottom, man. This Notre Dame defense has it all figured out. The offense, not so much. There were 4 3-and-outs in a row in this first half, Jack. Why did it take so long for this offense to get going? Kind of what do you see from that side of the ball?
Well, I think you can look at the offense 2 ways. The pessimistic view is that the offense was never really in a rhythm. Maybe at one point during the second quarter they were, but they never really, they kind of got out of it, never really got back into it. The positive way of looking at it is that the offense was never really in a rhythm, and they still beat a Power 4 football team 35-14.
They racked up 450 yards in the process.
Yeah. Riley Leonard didn't play his best game. I don't think he was bad either. He wasn't why they were going 3-and-out 4 times in a row early in the game. The main reason for that was the offensive line committing holding and hands to the face penalties. Jeremiah Love had a 10-yard loss at one point where he was hitting the backfield and he's just trying to make a play. But they kept at it. They got it figured out. Great game for Jaden Harrison, who had a touchdown called back, and he had a touchdown that stood. A couple other downfield receptions as well. Jaden Greathouse left the game with what appeared to be a right shoulder injury. He stayed on the sideline. He was kind of moving his arm like this a little bit. It seemed like he probably could have gone back in the game in the second half if it was close. We'll get an update on that on Monday, but I wouldn't be too concerned on that front. But instead, Harrison was good. Jordan Faison had a couple catches. He obviously had the one on the fake punt. So some good, a decent amount of not so good, but most of it fixable, I would say, for the Notre Dame offense.
I want to get this out of the way. By letter of the law, I think both of the touchdowns that were called back were actually good calls. Pat Coogan got his hand up in the face mask of a Virginia defensive player, illegal hands to the face. That comes back. The fake punt one really grinded a lot of gears here in Notre Dame Stadium. I'm not an expert on this rule by any means because you don't see it often where a team comes out looking like they're in a punt formation, but Marcus Freeman, it sounded like he was saying, no, we're in a shotgun formation. This is like an offensive formation. You have to have a certain number of players between a certain number range, like 50 to 79 or whatever, like denoting themselves as offensive linemen, basically like on the line. Weird rule, but it seems like the refs felt like they got it right. I just wanted to talk about that because I know a lot of the comments are going to be, hey, what the heck was that call? It seems Marcus Freeman came down from the anger. I think we agree with this. Yeah. The angriest that we have ever seen him on a sideline.
The angriest at an official. We've seen him be that angry, like at one of his own players when they usually like an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty is what sets him off. That was the angriest I've ever seen him at an official.
Yeah, and he coached through it, and Notre Dame played through it. I think that was an important thing. You mentioned the Adon Schuler interception. That was a few minutes of real time, a few seconds probably, maybe a minute of game time later. He gets that pick. You get the touchdown. Was that the Cooper Flanagan touchdown? A couple tight end touchdowns. Tight end University making a comeback. Mitchell Evans gets into the end zone again. So, again, on the offensive side of the ball, even amidst all of the there was enough good. Like Jeremiah Love, very good football player, 76-yard touchdown. He said it was a track meet, and Trackstar does not lose track meets, Jack. That was a nice touchdown. Riley Leonard still had some nice passes in this game. Like I don't come out of this game, and I want to get your thought on this, worried per se about the Notre Dame offense. Sometimes you're not going to score 40 or 50 points in a ball game. That's fine. They scored 35 and got 450 yards and beat an ACC team by 21 points.
Yeah, again, most of their offensive issues, I think, were fixable. Yeah, they had a drop, and Bo Collins had a few of those. They had, again, the penalties. There were a couple times where Riley didn't look super comfortable in the pocket, but the pockets weren't very comfortable all game. Yeah. There was one where Mitchell Evans should have had a touchdown, but Leonard didn't get the throw high enough over a Virginia defender. It was always just like one thing or another, if that makes sense. It was never. It never felt like the offense was broken. It was just like, oh, here's a penalty, wiping out an otherwise good play. Here's a drop, wiping out another otherwise good play. It's just one thing or another, and those are usually the fixable issues.
And you have football games like that. Every team does. Not every. Like Notre Dame won its first 7 games in this winning streak by 33.9 points. They only won by 21 tonight. Oh, boo-hoo. It's fine. It's going to be okay. We'll talk about those next 2 games that Notre Dame has in a second. But, Jack, you had one more thought on the defense?
Yeah, so I thought after the penalty, Freeman's fired up, the players are fired up and anxious to know what's going on. That was the sequence after the penalty from there until halftime. That was as hard and as fast as I've seen the defense play. Definitely this game, maybe all season, and they played really hard and really fast today. They made Calandria's life incredibly difficult. They harassed him. They made plays on the football. Xavier Watts had a fantastic game. You mentioned the pick, the recovered fumble. He also had a big tackle in 3rd and long that set up a 4th and short where Kaiser knocked the ball down. He was fantastic. But the response to the penalty that wiped out the phase-on touchdown and the fake punt was really encouraging if I'm a Notre Dame fan.
Yeah, because that's it's a 14-0 ball game, and after all that, you think you're up 21-0 a couple different times. The ball is still in Virginia's hand, trailing 14-0. They could theoretically go make it. Now, nothing that they were doing offensively, I thought that they were going to go score, but in theory, they could have made it a 1-score game. Instead, Notre Dame still stays the course and gets it to that 21-point game. So that's impressive. And like I said at the beginning of this, that's why I think if that same team shows up, and I think a better version of Notre Dame shows up against Army and maybe even against USC. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But, Jack, it just seems like Notre Dame won in spite of some things today, and they can go up and play Army and kind of come out the way they did against Navy in that other Service Academy game a month ago and kind of dictate terms and get to 10-1 for the first time in the Marcus Freeman era. And I think that's kind of more what this football team is.
Yeah, again, this was probably the worst Notre Dame played since its first bye week, since the week after Louisville, and they still won 35-14. And frankly, it should have been 35-7 because the long pass to Malachi Fields that Christian Gray broke up should not have counted. Kudos to Virginia for doing the smart thing, and after a close call, hustling up to the line of scrimmage, snapping the ball, not giving them a chance to review. That part was good on Virginia, but what wasn't good on Virginia and these officials was that Christian Gray broke up that pass. So that touchdown shouldn't have happened. The second touchdown was when the backups were in, and I think that's part of why Al Golden didn't seem too happy after the game, because Notre Dame prides itself in not allowing points after the backups come in. But again, the two touchdowns Virginia scored were bad call and backups in the game. The defense gave them nothing all night.
I guess I don't know if this is a good way to end this video, but it's worth saying that Notre Dame Musical had 41 points in this game if it doesn't miss 2 field goals. Yeah. Notre Dame kicking situation is weird right now. Mitch Jeter kicked extra points tonight. Was I seeing something? I saw him in the box score. So. Yeah, I saw him in the box score.
I think so, but like he didn't kick the field goals, and Mitch Jeter's definitely
two different guys kicked the field goals. It was a very weird situation.
Mitch Jeter's definitely not 100% right now, and like Notre Dame is kind of doing this like, well, he's half in, he's half not thing. They should shut him down until he's 100% healthy, because they're going to need him 100% healthy in December.
And that's evidenced by Zach Yoakum missing a 36-yarder and Marcelo Diomede. I don't know if I got Diomede. I don't know if I got that right. Apologize. But I think it was a lengthier one. Was that almost 50 yards, around 50 yards? Anyway, Mitch Jeter is this team's best kicker, and if you're going to get in a tight game away from Notre Dame Stadium, you need that guy to be healthy, like Jack said. So, but again, all of these games, they have not needed a kicker to win these games, and it could be very well the case when they go to Army, when they go to USC. That's just the team that we're covering right now, Jack. A really good one, a 9-1 football team with a chance to go 11-1, make it to the college football playoff, and perhaps play a college football playoff game at home here in South Bend. Wherever they play, whatever happens, me and Jack are going to be there covering it every step of the way. So stay tuned to this Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Like this video, subscribe, go to blueandgold.com for all of our recap content, and we will see you guys next time.